Hello, thanks for stopping by the Marita Minutes. For all that are new here, welcome. To all of my new subscribers, thank you for joining me on my journey. Today, I want to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is the part three to the reunion for season 9. Now, honestly, I think they probably could have left this episode off. To me, I mean, I guess if we wanted to listen to Trish and Ken and Marquez go back and forth, that was something, but I could have did without that, honestly. But let's get into it. This is the last show that I think I'm going to review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. At least that's how I feel right now. So I'm going to make it a good one. I'm going to give you what I got. And let's get into it, shall we? So let's get into it. So it picks up where it left off on part two, and Carlos is talking to Trisha. Now, before I get into that, I wanted to bring something to your attention. Now, if you want to read someone's body language, people can usually detect if you're lying or not just by your gestures. They always say your gestures have to match your responses, right? So if somebody asks you a question, watch how their body moves, okay? So if I ask you out of the blue, hey, did you steal that item from the store? As you're coming out the store, if I'm asking you, did you steal that item from the store and you hadn't stolen anything, you're going to say, no, right? My gestures match what I'm saying to you. No. I'm shaking my head no. I'm saying no. Did you see Trish when she was answering Carlos? He went through the whole scheme of, did you ever have sex with Martel? No. Did you want to have sex with Martel? No. Did you think about having sex with Martel? No. Everything when she said no, her head said yes. A good indication that someone is not telling the truth because their gesture is opposite from their response. Just keeping that in mind. Look it up. It's some truth in that. Girlfriend is not telling the truth. Anyway, so let's move on. So it also hits upon how it left off last week when Carlos was then asking Martel, did you want to have sex with Trisha? And he said, I'm going to be real. We did it. And everybody's like, gas, like we knew that or whatever. And Trisha's like, she's frozen in time. And everybody's like looking, and then he said, oh, I'm just joking. And everybody kind of laughs, except for Ken. So Carlos looks over at Ken and said, Ken, you didn't find that funny? He was like, no, I don't. So Melody pipes up and says, oh, you're not going to say nothing to him? And she's going back. And Martel's looking at her like, what? She was like, he was saying a bunch of stuff. She said, he's all you want to do is fight with the women on the show. You ain't saying nothing to this man right here. And she was pointing to Ken. And he was like, I would say something to him if he was being disrespectful. He not being disrespectful. He said, I'm not going to let you gaslight me, Melody, blah, 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 blah. He had a lot of mouth for Melody, but he ain't say nothing. He said, I ain't saying nothing to that man. That man ain't being disrespectful. So Melody then turns to Chris Fletcher and says, "Well, tell us what happened. Was it true that you was in the gym and you talked to Martell about Trisha or whatever? You gave her name or whatever. He went and looked her up or whatever. Did that happen? No, yeah, or no?" So Chris said, "I was in the gym and I was on the phone." He was like, "Oh my God, there's these people on the show." He said, "But yeah, I was on the phone." He said he asked, "Was there any women or any ladies in the gym?" He said, "Yeah, there's one walking by right now. She's always in the gym." He said, "I gave her name and he looked her up and he found her." And so Carlos said, "So that's when you went into her DMs." He was like, "Yeah." He said, "I wanted to train." So he looks at Trish and says, "Did you really think that Martell wanted you to come and train at his house?" She was like, "Well, no, I thought I was going to." He said, "Well, wait a minute." Then he cuts her off and says, "We remember that you said you didn't remember whether it was a house or a gym or, you know, but I don't remember hearing that part. They must have cut that part out. Maybe she said that, but we didn't get that part." And I just remember her conversation with Melody about she didn't know which house she had gone to or she couldn't describe the house or whatever. But evidently that conversation was longer than what it was because Carlos was saying, we realized you didn't know whether it was a house or a gym you were going to, whatever. Even though and he says a house has a kitchen, living room, dining room, sofa, whatever, and a gym usually has weights and sanitizer and blah 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 blah. Being snarky, right? It's his normal snarky self. And she was like, "Well, no." She said, "Because when I Googled the address," she said, "I saw that it was in a, really nice neighborhood and I figured it would have a clubhouse." She said, "Doesn't have a clubhouse with the gym?" And Marta said, "Yeah, it does." So that was her excuse. Anywho, so then Kim pipes up and basically says, "Look, if a man is going through the, I guess, paces. I'm paraphrasing. If a man is going through the paces and look someone up and jump into their DMs and invite them over, 9 times out of 10, their intent is not for you to come over and help them work out. I'm guaranteed they wasn't working out, or that wasn't what it was on his mind." Trish said nothing happened. It was they just talked. He talked about his marriage to Melody. He talked about how he was still in love with Melody and nothing happened. And so Carlos said, "Well, you did know that you was going to this married man's house." She said, "I didn't know he was married until he told me when I got there." And it was funny because evidently she had still been lying to Ken because Ken even looked over her and basically was like saying, "Well, he wasn't married when you went over there, was he?" I think so. I think he was there. I think he was there. Yeah, so I think she might have been still lying to Ken at that moment, even on the reunion show, because he is asking, was he still married? And so I think she said no. I don't know. The camera cut, so we didn't see what she actually said. So Carlos was basically saying, "So you went over this married man's house, and he said you didn't know about Melody." He said you didn't watch the show, and she said, "No, I didn't know about Melody. I didn't watch the show." And everybody was like, nobody believed her. And we have proof that that's a lie because she knew Destiny in 2022. So she knew about the show. Bullcrap. She knew. And I'm telling you, Trish is a liar, a bold face liar. So anything that she says out of her mouth, I don't believe. So, and by the way, her and Marquez are still married because she didn't complete the form right about the children and the custody thing with the kids. And she has not rectified it. So that might be one of the reasons why Ken might no longer be there. That's why he erased her from his Instagram page. She ain't no pictures of Trish on his page nowhere. Just saying. Anyway, I digress. So then they bring out Marquez. Okay, Marquez comes out and he goes into this whole song and dance about how he feels ostracized, excluded. And Trish and Kim make him feel like that. They make him feel like, he's not to be around. They don't include him in a lot of things I guess when it comes to the kids. And basically those two are saying, well, he's not around. He's not even present to be around for the kids. And then when he comes, I guess when he's not much of a father. He's not an on hands father. I guess him being on the phone is what he considers as being there or whatever. Anyway, Carlos asked him, when did he get married to Trish? He said 2006. And he said, well, when did you leave? He was like in 2021. And so I think Carlos looks at Trish and was like, um, how he was he not there for his kids or something like that. And she was like, well, his address was for till 2021, but he wasn't there. He didn't stay there. And he said, well, back in 2017, Kim was saying that he wanted to lick you like a lollipop, and me and you were good at that time. Yeah, so they were going back and forth. Ken lashed out to him and saying, he's never there for the kids. He tries to do all these things for the kids. He gave his son the car to drive to Atlanta to be with him. Ken is saying all this stuff that he does. And then, of course, Marquez is coming back saying, Trisha's broken. Trisha needs healing. And then, of course, Ken is her cheerleader. He said, well, I'm here for her. I'm going to help her heal. He going to do all this stuff, right? Then he starts calling Marquez a bum and saying, we give you money. You borrowed money from your son. I mean, I feel like some of that stuff was uncalled for. Yeah, everybody, when he called Marquez a bum, everybody looked at him like he was like dirt. Like, why would you say something like that? Like, why would you even come for that man like that? And then Marquez was like, well, you can call me whatever you want. He said, bottom line, you can't have no kids. You don't know how this feels. These are my children, and you will never be their father. You are a bonus to her, not my kids. Basically, I think that's what he was saying. And so Kimmy tries to pipe up. He said, well, what are you doing? Are you doing? And then Maurice said, babe, 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 babe. It says, you need to pipe down. Say what now? I'm having a conversation. You're not gonna pipe me down. But did you see Maurice when he did that? He's like, babe, 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 like she was out of line for asking him stuff. I caught that. Kimmy better fall in line. She see Tisha over there, right? Tisha moved over so that Mark could sit next to Ken. And I guess he was supposed to be, calming Ken down. He was told Tisha to move over so he could be next to Ken. And she knows her place. Kimmy, you better get to know yours, honey. Marcel was like, ho, 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 babe, 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 babe. What you doing? What you saying? I caught it. Y'all didn't have to catch it. I think Carlos asked Marquez, did he have a crush on Melody? And he was like, I wouldn't call it a crush. He says more like admiration. He said, I like to be meet with her and just talk business. He said, I got some, business ideas that I want to run past her. He said, I would like to connect with her on that level. He said, I like to get to know her as a person first on a business level. Basically saying, he said, I'm gonna give her flowers today. He said, if it wasn't for Melody, I wouldn't have a lot of these opportunities. And he was thanking her. I thought that was so sweet. It's probably his charm, but I thought that was really sweet gesture that he did that. So then after that, I think Carlos brings up the girls' trip and asks, and they go through the different scenes, the montages from beginning to end when they first get there, them being assigned their rooms. They see Nell talk about, she ain't got no name tag on her room. They talk about how Tisha and Kimmy were upset about the room that they received. And they go through the whole 9 yards. So Carlos, at the end of that montage of the girls' trip, he said, who here loved the girls' trip? And I think Sonny raised her hand, and maybe I don't know who else raised their hand, but nobody was like feeling that trip. And I think Tisha basically said everything was okay except for the rooms. And it was brought up something about, did the rooms, or did they think the room, I'm paraphrasing, did they think that the rooms reflected how Melody felt about them? And Kimmy was like, yeah, I think kind of, sort of. She said, I think I got caught in the crossfire. She said, with Destiny coming and then with Tisha, I guess because they weren't really in a good place. She said, I think I got caught in the crossfire. She said, but, and so Carlos said, so y'all think y'all should have got better rooms because y'all OGs? And she said, yeah, I think so. She said, because we filmed in Melody's backyard for free because Melody wanted to pursue this TV reality show. And I guess that was her thing, was like, I did this for you so you could even get here. And this is how you show your gratitude for me. I'm thinking to myself, all y'all were filming because y'all all were willing to have some part or place on the TV show, because I haven't seen you say, I don't want to do it no more, Kimmy. I haven't seen none of that. What do you mean? I felt like, well, maybe it was Mel's idea because that's what she wanted. But it looks like all y'all wanted it. All y'all got used to that money. Maybe in the beginning y'all wasn't earning nothing, but I feel like y'all are earning something today. A nice penny today. It might not be, you might not be able to quit cold turkey, because I'm sure it helps with the bills and whatever ventures y'all got going on. But yeah, no, she was making it seem like Mel was in so many, in her gesture of giving them that room, that's how they felt. That's how she felt about them. But if y'all remember when she handed them their goodie bags or tokens, when she was talking about, and when she introduced the trip to them, and when Tisha walked over to Mel, she said, I want to bring a +1. Can I bring a +1? And I remember Melody telling her, yeah, you can bring a +1, but just know you're going to be in the room with your +1. Like, you're not going to have a room to yourself. She told her that then. Now, Kimmy may have got caught in the crossfire with that, but they were all together. She felt like, they sister-in-laws, and then, y'all got Destiny. Y'all can be all in the same room together. So there's that. Anyway, during the trip, I want to say, they brought up the fact that I think somebody was calling her the queen, like this is her castle, like these were her subjects or whatever, talking about Melody. And Carlos wanted to know, or asked Nell, did she think that the show and maybe her fan base, the millimeters, have gone to her head? And Nell said, yeah, I think so. And she said, and then I think she went in to say something about how Melody was calling herself queen, and or did Melody say that? She said, you were calling me queen. And then Nell said, no, Shanita was saying that to you. I wasn't. She said, yes, you do now. She said, you. And then she gets up and imitates her about what she's saying. She said, this is Mel's stuff, and this is her platform, and this is her stuff. And y'all need to just get in line and play your role. She said, you tell me you haven't said that to me before. And Nell couldn't even say nothing. She was like, yeah, I do say that. I said that. I don't know why everybody coming after Mel. I think because really nobody had a good storyline. You know what I mean? And they had to make the uh, reunion show good. So I guess everybody was on their thing of coming at Mel. I want to say it comes up again about Mel being a mentor, and she said she felt hurt about that. And Mel was basically, letting her. She said, well, even though you've asked me about, how things go with me and Martell, she said, haven't I done that with you? And then Nell was like, see, that's what you do. You always turn it back on me. She said, yeah. She said, I might have called you about Chris and Martell maybe one time. She said, but for the most part, I was there for you and Martell. And so Kimmy was about to speak up and say, well, did you think she was going to perceive it? How did you think she was going to perceive it? And then she cuts Kimmy off and basically says, I want Miss Nell to hear me. And then she goes into this long drawn out something about, I appreciate you, blah, 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 blah. But then they talk about Destiny and her. All right, they at the level, and they talked about, I guess, how they were um, with each other at St. Thomas. And Melody said, you know, oh, I think Carlos brought up the fact that um, Destiny had mouthed to Melody saying she was sorry. And Melody said, "Yep, with tears in her eyes." And Destiny was like, "I said I was sorry with what I had done to you." And then Carl said, and Melody's like, that's not what she said. And then she said, then you also said that you need to talk. She said, no, that's what Melody said. She said, we need to talk. She said, Melody said, yeah, we'll talk. But they forgot this part about how she said, I love you. Destiny said that I love you to Melody. And Melody went over to her. She says, okay, we'll talk. Exactly what she said. And then, but those two were going back and forth. And then I think Destiny got upset because she was like that Melody was putting forth this narrative about how she was moving too fast or whatever. And she was like, yeah, because everywhere I went, you were sitting right there. You were sitting in front of me. You were sitting beside me. And she said, and you kept texting me. You said, you whispered in my ear. And she's like, it was a lot. And so Destiny was like, that's like telling someone that's stalking you your phone number. She was like, you know, I don't know. They were going back and forth. I can't remember all that she was saying. But obviously that friendship is done. I think the grooming thing, there's no coming back from that. Destiny can cancel Christmas. As my boy Tommy from Power said, you can cancel Christmas on that. She can cancel Christmas. That ain't happening. Basically, Carlos was like, "Is there anything that you think that you could see I guess resolve this or to be at a good space?" And Melly was like, "I think the chance that we had to get it together was when we were at St. Thomas." And then Dusty was like, "Yeah, because it's up and stuck." And she said, just let you say up and stuck. Period. And then Destiny had to have the last word. Her thing was like, forever. And I'm like, well, them girls ain't seeing it right now, and maybe in the future they will. I can't say. But yeah, that's not happening. Them two. They that's it for them. So then Carlos wants to know if they want to know who the surprise guest is. And of course, Martell comes out and says, Melody's boyfriend. He is so obsessed with Melody still. Divorced for several years now. I think 3 or 4 years now. And you are still obsessed with that woman. She said, I have a boyfriend. She said, but you'll never know who he is. She can't tell him who he is. I can't imagine her even contemplating telling him at any point who she's seeing because he would drive them effing crazy. She can't tell him nothing. She got to sneak until, he marries Ariane or whoever. So then the guest that comes out is Stormy. She looks nice in her green. And she sits down and she's like, oh, the set is beautiful. Everybody looks so nice, blah, 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 blah. She came out, she was very nice. Now, whether they cut something out, I don't know. I thought I saw on the blogs that that Stormy comes after Melody too, but maybe she didn't. Or maybe they cut it out. I don't know. Her segment was but that long. So I'm having a feeling that they might have kind of edited some stuff. We'll find out later if there's any edited scenes because they always seem to come out. Somebody will tell it, or maybe somebody will go live and tell us what really happened. But so I mean, but Stormy's segment was this long. She talked about how, because I think Carlos asked, was she pregnant yet? And she said no. She said, but we do have a surrogate, and they were going to be working on that. And she said maybe, I guess by, this was 2024, so she said by next year we may have a new addition to our family. And then she goes on talking about, he asked why she left Huntsville or why she left the show. And her thing was, because I got busy. She said, I was on TikTok. She said, I'm the first one to have $1 million, stream. And she said, I've been really, really busy. She said she really didn't have time to fit the show in. That's how I took it. And they did have like a montage of Stormy too, and all the things that she's been doing. And then the last little segment was they took a moment to honor Kiki, which was nice. But I feel like in general, I'm not even talking about the cast right now. In general, you really don't know how long a person has, right? So if you don't take anything else from this video, take this. Regardless of what situation you're in, if you're mad with someone, a family member, a friend, husband, a wife, what have you, you don't know how much time either you or that other person has left. So I always now take it upon myself when I'm leaving someplace, regardless of my relationship with a person, I always say, God bless. Just so I leave with a pleasantry. It doesn't have to be God bless. It could be anything, like have a good day, or I'll talk to you later, or be safe, or be well. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be. But I always say God bless. Because you never know anybody's last moments. And it just kind of, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way with the way they all, and I mean all of them, treated Kiki from the last moments that we saw her on the show. The whole humiliation thing, giving her, a drug test, questioning her sobriety. And I'm talking about Carlos King. Her own family members, Tisha, Marceau, how they ragged on her and tried to make it seem like it was more stuff going on with her, but they weren't going to tell it and all this other kind of stuff. Her last moments on that show with Melody, because Melody had to pull her up because she did some things she probably wasn't supposed to do. But I don't know, maybe that could have been handled a different way too, and that was her last time. She walked out off that set, that scene, and got in her car, and then we didn't see Kiki anymore. At least not on the show. Now, did she do lives? I think so. I think she did do lives here and there. I think. But we really didn't see her. And evidently she was struggling with whatever vices she had going on. And I don't know, I just felt some way about this, but they showed Tisha, putting together a memorial for her. And I think they spelled out her name in these candlelit things. I thought they were balloons first, the things that they put up in the air that you light up or whatever. I thought they were those at first, but it didn't seem like. They just spelled her name Kiki with these things, and they had like a visual, candlelight visual in the daytime. But it looked daytime to me. I don't know. But that's that. There's Espo's fan base. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. If y'all are the Espo fan base, then I apologize. No disrespect. And then that was pretty much it. That's how it kind of went off. And then Carlos brings out the champagne. But I don't think we could have. I think we could have did without this particular portion. We could have did without this particular portion of the show. What do y'all think? Bottom line, I think nobody really had a worthwhile storyline that they wanted to talk. I mean, nobody except for Maurice and Kimmy, but they didn't want to talk about it. That would have been a storyline we would have been worth healing. I mean, Tisha and Marcel didn't have a storyline this year. They didn't have no smoke for nobody, but they played it safe this year. But they didn't really have a storyline. They were on the stage. But tell me, at what point did we talk to them except for Tisha and the inappropriate text? They didn't say nothing. They didn't even chime in on anybody else's. What did they bring this season? Nothing. Martell, what did he bring this season? They had that little thing about him and him and Trisha. But according to Ken was like, he always made it seem like it was more than what it was with his jokes and stuff, and he never found that funny. Because I think at one point, Carlos asked Martell, did he owe Trish apology? And his thing was like, no, why? He is so rude. He was like, no, why? He said, I never did that. He said, I got tired of people talking about it. He said, so every now and again, I just put a joke out there. And I guess, but Martell's very immature. Him and Ariane are a match made in heaven. Both of them are at the same level. Martell is so immature. And as soon as somebody doesn't agree with what he say, he's like, oh, I'm Maurice. He gets all excited. Like, calm down. Even him and Miss Nell got into it. She said, you better stop yelling in my ear. He said, well, you just move over there. I was like, he is so rude. So rude. So rude and very immature. Anyway. Tell me what you think. What do you think about this? No, it could have been just 2 episodes. They could have made them both an hour and a half. And would have been done. I don't know. I think this might be it for me for Love and Marriage Huntsville. My girl's not coming back. She's already said she was leaving the show. And I don't know if I want to. I know they're filming. But unless they want to tell what's really going on with them, nobody's going to tune into that. Nobody cares. So, before you leave the building, please give me a like. It's a free way to support my channel. And with that being said, everyone be blessed. Peace.